Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and squirrels from around the world. And welcome, all of you fine folks that might be watching over on Twitter. Supposedly it's streaming over there, but I've got no guarantees that that's actually happening. Well, we'll see. It might. It might just be. It might just be streaming over there. Don't know. I don't know how to even check that. I just added Twitter onto it, so if it's streaming over there, beware of Baphomet. Hey, Daisy girl. Hey, Daisy girl. Yes, I was actually supposed to do a stream tonight with Madcore, but he had something come up, and he's not streaming that tonight. So all of you fun folks that I put that notification out there for, just disregard. Just know that. Well, I'm sure by now you probably have realized that he's not streaming because he's removed that stream. But just know that he's gonna be doing that pretty soon. Hopefully this week. I hope everything's going well from Mr. Madcore Mofo, and we will, keep him in our thoughts. And for you, those of you that like to pray, well, there you go. Pray for that man. And if my voice sounds a little bit different tonight, that is because there was a lot of smoke. I think it was the smoke from Canada. So my voice is acting really, really strange tonight. It has been all weekend. It normally doesn't sound like this. That, and I think I've got my microphone issue taken care of. So I'm not sure if I can even hear my voice right now. Let's find out. Yes, it is working. It is working. Yeah. So there's that. There's that. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful night tonight. And if you're not, well, I'm not going to make it any better. I hope that you'll find it entertaining tonight. That'll be very nice. That'd be very nice if I could actually provide just a little bit of entertainment. It's been an interesting day with all the show business going on. Was watching some of that over on the Experts channel. If you got a chance, just go back and do the rewatch. It's actually pretty interesting. She's a little creepy. A little bit creepy. Worries me that there's actually people out there like that just have no, just an utter disregard for a human life. Makes it pretty disturbing to me. But welcome all you fine folks over here on Rumble and checking it out there. I appreciate you. And all of you fine folks on Twitter, and of course my YouTube group. So good to see all of you. And I know some of you will be catching this on the rewatch, probably because you've been watching too much YouTube all day. unlike me that actually had work to do. Hey Suzanne, good to see you. Good to see you. Now, just for all you guys, just know that the expert, he usually does a Tuesday night tacos. I haven't checked to see if he's actually doing Taco Tuesday tonight. He'll do trivia on Taco Tuesdays, which is always a means of entertainment for a lot of people. So maybe we'll end early tonight and get on there. It just depends on how long it goes tonight. But he's hopefully he's doing that tonight. I know that he had a long stream today, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, so like I said, welcome Rumble, welcome YouTube, welcome Twitter. glad everybody could be on here. Well, actually, it's not called Twitter anymore. Now it's called X. The little bird is gone. Or maybe it's still called Twitter, but just with an X. I don't know. X marks the spot. Where that spot would be, I don't know. Wherever the X is. I just have no clue. Oh, yeah. So, John Wayne Todd. John Wayne Todd. So we'll be doing some more of the Disturbed tonight. If you haven't seen the previous ones, which would have been on YouTube and on Rumble, you can always go back and is he talking about? Talking about is he high? No, I'm not high at all. If you've gotten a chance, go back and check the previous episodes of this one with the one Suzanne the 1000 days. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm not high. Um I've got some more of the John Wayne Todd that these were tapes that were released in the 70s. They were on I'm trying to think what the name of the channel was. I could probably find out real quick. It was released on the where is it? Pretty sure that somewhere on here it talks about it. Part of the old time radio collection. There you go. So it was, hey, how's it going, beautifully? Good to see you. Oh, Jimmy. Yes. Yo. But you can get the audio. This is an audiobook format. This is by far some of the shorter versions of it, and I was wondering because it seemed like it was skipping around on the last one that I'd listened to. Like he was giving these rapid fire answers without ever hearing a question. And what there was is there's actually some files that go along with that, but I can't really share those both at the same time. So I can probably read along with it. Maybe we'll see. Because I think I can only share one screen at a time. I'll have to figure out a way to do this because it's pretty interesting. The transcript for some of those questions. Where are they? Because I was reading through those and I saw that they were asking some questions that he was answering, and I think those were pretty interesting to say the least. Let's see if I've got that. Let's see, because that, and I'll see if they actually have any on this particular tape. And where is it? Where is it? Because some of the questions that were being asked was, what does witchcraft have to do with the Masons? What about the Knights of Columbus? I have fooled around with tarot card a little and felt a little edgy about some of the events that were taking place and decided to get rid of them. And it was scary. What are the Illuminati for the nation of Israel? And of course, his answer to that is they use Israel to gain control of the world. All nations except the United States will go after Israel just before they take over the world and cause World War III. The United States government will step in to save Israel. And then it says, what are Christians expected to do? Pray. I mean, his answers, well, their question they couldn't hear on the tape. There was some really odd questions that they had going on. It says in the brochure that you have in mind a retreat for witches who want to get out because of the danger they face. Could you comment on that? Let's see. And then they're asking about text, which is whenever they're referring to text, they're referring to um, Charles Manson, the family for the Charles Manson. It says, will he be released along with Manson? He claims to be born again. Does Tex have the fruit of the Spirit? This is the test. If the fruit is here, he is a Christian. If the fruit is not here, he is not. As simple as that. Without the fruit, you're going to grow thorns and not apples. That's his answer to that question. Um, Next question. What about Christian rock music? Okay, you're talking about Jesus rock. And that's some of the questions that he was being asked. He's a lot of his answers are pretty in depth, and maybe one day I'll go through some of these because it's a little weird, some of his questions and answers. Anyhow, I may believe that Elon. That's the reason I maybe believe. Yeah. Hey, Moose Maneuver. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Oh, so let me get that back up here real quick. And what I did was my smart ass closed the screen that actually had the recording on it. Now I started at the end of last week of playing this particular one, but saw that Expert was starting up. So I figured I would just not pick up where I left off, but start it from the top of it. I thought that would probably be a good way to go. And here we go. Let's pull this. Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you, Captain. Have fun. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. And share screen. There we go. So we'll bring this one up here. That's more appropriate. Yeah. Look at that sexy mug right there. Hey, Vicky T. Good to see you. Good to see you. Everybody just coming bounding on in. Daisy Girl, Jimmy, Moose, all you fine folks, all you fine folks. So are you ready? Are you ready? Well, here we go. Without further ado, John Wayne Todd, part 5 of his tapes. Oof.
Certain guns. So the guns we need are pump shotguns, 12 gauge pump shotguns, or automatic shotguns. Nothing else. Nothing else. If you feel like you'd like to give us something and it's not on the list, save it. We've got to have these precise ones because this is what they use against us. And as a weapons expert from the Army, I know what will be best. The next thing we need are 357 Magnum revolvers. That's the main weapon. Not 38. 38 will bounce off of windows. They've been known to. 357, 45 automatic are the best. That's what I personally carry. The next thing we need, if you don't have them, Tom Collins knows where you can get them for half price, and we need them, are Colt AR-15. That's the civilian name for the M16 rifle. That's what they hit us with most of the time. Or the Mini 14. It's all right. It's not great.
And he is an expert, a weapons expert. Just saying, okay.
We need these weapons very badly. And if you have never been in a firefight, I have stood on a farm in Ohio that was a retreat, and for 4 solid hours, we never did find out why the police didn't come out. There were over 6.
Oh, greetings, Audria. How you doing? Oh, we are all doing wonderful tonight, I hope. I hope that everybody is having a beautiful night.
1,000 rounds expired from both sides trying to kill people.
No, so he's talking about a gun battle that they supposedly had out in the middle of nowhere, both sides trying to kill each other. 6,000 rounds. Okay.
That was one firefight. This is no game and this is no joke. I spent Monday in the hospital because I wasn't careful at a job that I was having, and somehow, somebody, I got the blood test to prove it, slipped poison in the pop that I was drinking. And I was.
So he's saying that he was poisoned and he spent some time in the hospital because someone poisoned his, not drink, his pop. It means Coca-Cola or soda or whatever it might be. Probably RC Cola if it would have been the 70s.
In critical condition, and still got the.
So if he was in critical condition the night before, okay.
From the IV, I went into convulsions and seizures, and a lot of people prayed. And Monday morning, I walked out of that hospital. I looked sick for a few days, but I walked out of that hospital because I got careless. It was a new way they had tried, and I wasn't ready for it. From now on, we're going to watch all ways. So please, this is an unusual request, but if you have them, we need them, okay? And the other thing we need material so that clothes can be made. We need concrete block. We need cement. We need hundreds of 2x4s, okay? We need barbed wire fencing. We need fence posts. We need electrical wiring. You can imagine anything in construction. We need lots of sheetrock. So anything that you feel that if you're in a construction field, you have nails. You can imagine how many nails we need. We need this stuff. Okay? We need farm tools like shovels, picks, and so on. We need everything under the sun. It is a retreat. That is a ranch. We need farm animals.
Audria, my brother-in-law actually went to the Moon Pie Festival. It's the RC Cola Moon Pie Festival in, I believe, is South Carolina, North Carolina, and actually won the clogging competition as a grown man. It was pretty impressive.
If you've got a horse and the Lord might lead you to donate the horse, we need horses more than we need anything else. Okay? Horses. And that's pretty well it. You can just pray about it and see how the Lord will lead you. If you feel like donating money, bring it to the pastor. Okay? The land is there. All we got to do is get the things built. And I know people around here like Sean and others will be glad on weekends to come up and hang sheetrock with the rest of us. I won't be here, I'm sorry to say, so I'm trusting others.
Johnny, I've got to care one more thing very quickly for our Sunday school records. But all those people who were not here during first session, please raise your hands. Or if you were not counted in your second session class already, if you were not in first session or not counted in your second session class, please raise your hand. If you're a visitor who is here, you're not in the first session. Your first session, raise your hand. And if you're not counted in your second session, and Mike, you get those, lay on those sides. Keep your hands up, Johnny, go ahead and talk.
Hello, Divinity. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Well, I was going to ask questions, but I don't think I can ask questions with everybody's hands in the air. So I'll add very quickly here. We have tried retreats several times. They've always failed because we allowed the supporting churches to have a voice in the retreat itself. Now, I love this church and I'm a member of it, or I've never joined the church in the 5 years I've been saved. That's what I think of this church. I think of this pastor. But the retreat, the workers, if you think that you would like to be a worker at the retreat, just remember, it's going to be on the hip the whole time you're there. Tom Collins, I told him and his wife, they were out looking at the land with us. And this Cole already knows who gave us the land. Tom gave us the land. And
oh my gosh, look who has graced me with his presence. Look at that. Valhalla, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. I saw your new piece. Oh, I can't wait to see you paint that thing up, make it look really nice. I'm working on a new one too. I'll have to tell you about it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic.
I told him and his wife, I said, you know, when you come out here, this is your land, but the moment you come through the gates, you put it on your hip. And so pray for us. Pray while we're eating. We're claiming souls upon souls. I'm going to be talking with the people who train me in witchcraft. I'm going to be going in to the top people that sit on the council, the 13 people that sit on the council. I will be in faith where 8 of them live, and I expect them to attend the meeting.
That's awesome, dude. I'm so glad. I'm glad. I've got. I have to talk about it some other time, but yeah, there's something pretty impressive. I think you'll like.
Okay, pray for us. We're going to believe miracles are going to be done. Baltimore's the closest I'm going to get to Jimmy Carter, but you know, for those that haven't heard, Jimmy's great evangelistic sister won Larry Flint to the Lord, but she told Larry that if you keep on publishing Hustler, he just had to add nude men pictures along with the women's to balance it out. That was the Christian principle. I wonder what Lord she's serving. Any questions? Yeah. Go ahead. He's going to repeat it for the tape.
The question is, what about Charles Manson? Was he demon-possessed?
Also about the book and everything. All right. Manson belonged to, I had to belong to many brotherhoods, okay? Manson, the brotherhood that he belonged to is called the Process. The only brotherhood I worry about. They are so radical that in order to kill me, they would gladly give their own life up right in a meeting. They were run out of England for human sacrifice. They have the inner and the outer process. The outer process is a good group. They have free coffee houses, free clothing, free places to live, and so on. The inner practice human sacrifice. They teach 4-God system. Yahweh as the evil God, Lucifer as the good God, Jesus as one being punished because he spoke against Satan, and Satan as the earthly God. And they wear a cross, big silver cross, with a serpent engraved on the cross, showing that Satan and Christ are one through the cross. They were rolled up. They were a contract. He was paid to do it. Kate was breaking away. Her husband knew about it. Her husband went over to establish an alibi in Europe. The money came down. $50,000 came down from Toronto to New Orleans, and poor Manson only got $2,000 of it by the time it went through all the sticky fingers. But that's what the Tate killings were about. The others just happened to be there. She wanted out, and you don't get out unless you come through Christ. And she didn't think about trying out. And her mistake was she warned him in advance. She was arguing with her husband. She was having a baby, and she didn't want the baby raised up in it, and she wanted out. And if you remember the trial script from the book, that's the one thing she begged. She says, she kept repeating over and over, don't kill me, don't kill my baby. Her baby was what she cared about. And that's the information that I have on it. I belong to the New Orleans branch, and he was called a still disciple or an evangelist from the New Orleans branch process. They were the people who first tried to kill me. The first incident that ever happened from them. They're very, very radical. They're located, and they've got a few scattered undercover groups in L.A., but they've got an open chapter in Frisco. Any other questions? Yes.
Are epileptics demon-possessed?
I'm glad you asked that. When I was saved, and I've got the veterans records to prove it, I was an epileptic from wounded numb. I took an EEG this time last year. The brain scan shows I'm still an epileptic.
He's epileptic. Yes, that is very true. That is one of the true things that he says.
First thing that the people called out of me, and they did not know I was an epileptic. I was taking the Dilantin and the phenobarb in secret. They called a demon of epilepsy out of me. I have never had a seizure, an epileptic seizure, since then, except when the VA got a court order about a year.
And this is also a lie, because this is how he managed to get out of prison the first time, why he only spent 6 months for SA. So he spent 6 months and was released on a medical condition that he was epileptic. Yes.
And a half ago, because they were concerned for me and made me take the medicine, and I went into seizure, and they gave it up. I've never had a seizure, and nobody that I've ever called a demon of epilepsy out of has ever had a seizure since, as long as they stayed off the medicine.
This is not medical advice. Trust me. Not medical advice.
Not possessed. I want to add this real quick. Because of the King James Bible, many places in the New Testament, all demonic activity is called possession. If you'll get yourself a Greek lexicon, and I think Pastor can verify with me, only 2 cases in the New Testament use the word that applies to possession. The 16th chapter of Acts and legions. The others apply to activity, demonic activity in their life. All right? Now, give you an incident. We prayed for a girl when I was here last time. Who was the people? You were upstairs with me, weren't you? Who was the other woman upstairs with us? Is she here? She can testify. The girl could not pray the prayer of salvation, so we called certain demons out of her. When we were done praying the prayer of salvation, then we called more out of her. But certain ones had to go before she could even pray, but they had not all gone. If that's a little contrary to you, it's because when you give your heart to the Lord, you give your heart to the Lord. The flesh can still be occupied if you gave them permission to come in your life through different things. Epilepsy, there's no argument about it. That's how Jesus delivered it. And all the dilatin and the phenobarb in the world will just feed the demon. I've seen hundreds. I feel for epileptics because I went through years of epilepsy, and I know the feeling, the embarrassment of the seizure and everything. And I've never had, my brain waves shows I'm still an epileptic. I guess if somebody had cancer and the Lord had did a miraculous thing and they still saw the cancer under the scope, but they weren't dying, I don't know. But I have the brainwave test and the brain scans both show I'm still an epileptic, but I don't have a seizure and I don't take the medicine. I really feel that the injury that was done to me was physical, but the demon causes the convulsion. Okay? That's my own experience as an epileptic. Yes. I can only give you the names of
The question, who are the names of the other people on the Council of 13?
Okay. I can only give you the ones that were on it, plus the girl who replaced me. There has been much assassination. There is a war going on in the occult right now. But
Phoebe, good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. No. My little sister was epileptic. Whenever I say was, is because she would have seizures after she fell off a jungle gym and smacked her head on a hard surface. And she was on the phenobarbital up until her teenage years, and she started having more drastic seizures. And they found that it was actually her childhood injury or the trauma to the brain had somewhat healed, and the phenobarbital was actually causing her to have seizures. Something about developing brain or something like that. I don't know. I'm no doctor, but she got off the phenobarbital, and I don't think she's ever had a seizure since. So, hooray! No demon possession. Well, maybe, but that's a different story.
between the traditionalists and the modernists. It's funny, we just argue between traditionalists and modernists there. But the traditionalists and the modernists there, this is why I keep getting invitations to come back and join. Because I was one of the traditionalist leaders, and they thought that I got out because the traditionalist was losing or something. They didn't start losing until I left. But this is why they want Porkin's son in. He is the leader of the traditions. But the leader of the Grand Council, as it stands about a week ago, is Gavin Frost. He's leader of the modernists, the evangelical of the group, the ones who say everybody can be a witch. On it, the girl who took my place is Yvonne Collins, or Legina is her name. Now, many names I'll give you are witch names, okay? Because I don't know their real names. That's the law in witchcraft. If they don't choose to tell you, you can't.
So he doesn't know their real names. He only knows their witch names, which seems like a bit of a conundrum, because you would think if these people were so high powered and powerful that you would see them, on TV, on the street, Fortune magazine, things like that. If they were these almighty, all powerful witches that used a witch name, then whenever you saw them in person, you would sort of put two and two together. I mean, it would make sense to me. Yes, the dangers of blind devotion. But as you can see, I'm not the leader of a cult. Or something like that.
And even the council don't know the other council members' correct names from it. Jesse Bell, who lives in Florida, is named Lady Sheba. Sybil Leak, Dr. Raymond Buckland, who used to lead it. Lorca is still on the council. Louise Hubner from Los Angeles is on the council. Zorla from Chicago is on the council. I think the others that were on it at the time.
Did you just say Sorloff? Okay.
Are off. Mrs. Morgan from New York and Lavina.
Let's see. I don't know because I was never a Boy Scout. I wasn't allowed. my cousin was. But no, I was not. They were feared. That was really rambunctious. I don't know. Expensive. I have no idea. I just was never allowed. So
From France are still on the count. The others, I think, have either been killed or resigned or what, and others have been placed in their place. Yeah. The traditionalists believe. Go ahead. Sorry, I keep forgetting.
Can you clarify the distinction between the traditional and the modernist?
The traditionalist witch believes you must be a hereditary witch. Okay, that means you must be born into a family just before a hereditary line. The modernists want everybody, particularly the Christians, most of all, to be witches. Okay.
Question: can you tell us about UFOs?
Now, and my sister's connection. There's a story that Jack Chick had told each person 3 years ago that I had told him. My sister, before my wife came around, used to be leader of the state of Ohio, the high priestess there of the whole.
Wait, what? Huh? Yeah. No, he's talking about being a leader of a group of witches, and his sister was involved. And okay.
State. And her little path.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Ohio originally. And then he moved to California after the military and joined up with a coffee house evangelicals and would hand out tracts for Jack Chick. The whole time that he was doing this, he was also running an occult bookstore and recruiting to become witches and warlocks. Weird, huh? And that was before his with his first wife. I think he was married 3 times, but definitely his first wife. And that ended up, he ended up abandoning her, and the child. And then whenever he remarried, the one that he's talking about, whenever he references his wife, is his second wife. And then they got a divorce because he knocked up his wife's sister. Makes sense. Yeah, he's a creep.
I was calling up, supposedly filling the sky with UFOs and watching everybody's excitement. And some of the most outstanding sightings were in the early 70s in Ohio. And she used to laugh about it because she'd be standing in a circle out in the field somewhere calling up demons. And that's all they were angels of light playing.
So you got that? She was calling up UFOs. They were actually just demons or angels of light. Okay.
Games in the sky. Remember, a demon, get the little spooky picture. There are a fallen angel, an unclean spirit. They can assume any form or go into anything except a Christian who walks in the spirit all the time. Know any? Or in other words, a Christian who keeps it under the blood and so on. But they can assume forms, including spacemen or solid objects like flying saucers or so on. That's why when they appear on the radar scope and a jet gets up there, they vanish right in front of the pilot's eyes because they're nothing but a spirit.
Tom Rose.
That's a good explanation for UFOs. They just disappear right in front of their eyes. Why wouldn't they just possess the pilot or become another airplane? Make them start World War III. I mean, if I was a demon and I wanted to cause havoc, I mean, that would be the way to do it. Maybe show up as a nuclear launch or something. I don't know. It just seems a little strange. Getting there. Seems like there's always something. Well, yes, absolutely.
And the same thing, the word possession, obsession, and affliction. And then how it relates to a Christian.
Well, let's trade the words around a little. Possession, oppression, and depression. Okay? Let's use those instead of the affliction. Okay? Possession means absolutely total ownership. You've seen one of the few. I've seen 4 or 5 cases in my whole life of possession, and the young lady that we prayed for at the end of the service was one of those that was possessed. That's how many in 5 years, and I have sat in or been part of close to 1,000 deliverances. You don't see very many cases of possession. Possession means that person doesn't breathe, eat, talk, say anything that the devil does not allow them to do that's inside of them. Maybe you've seen them if you tried to get somebody to pray and they...
It doesn't sound like a good way to run a body, though. Like if you're going to possess a body, you'd probably want to make sure that they eat, that the body is well rested so you can, get it to do some evil crap. I don't know. It would make sense to me. I mean, if I was going to possess somebody, that would be, I'd want to make sure that my host was unaware of the evil deeds I was doing. But maybe demons are just really dumb. What I'm thinking, demons are just, they're like on the hockey team, but
actually wanted to pray the prayer of salvation, but they can't get it out. That's possession. Son of Sam, possession.
Son of Sam, possession. Well, that's what he claimed. He claimed that that the dog was telling him to commit those murders. Sure.
John Todd, 5 years ago, possession. Charles Manson, possession. Let me explain. You notice Legion was possessed. The girl in the 16th chapter was possessed. You notice what they did? They wanted help. Do you know what they did? They went and they challenged God. The most they could do was fall down before him and get the minister's attention. I'd been in meetings where they couldn't ask for deliverance because the spirit wouldn't let them. But they could create a commotion by resisting the devil. What they would do is they'd start thinking they wanted free, and the devil would start manifesting, and that would draw the attention of the minister to them.
No, dirty deeds are done dirt cheap.
But most of the possessed people are possessed not so much because the demons are possessing them, but they're possessing the demons. I mean, most of the cases I meet that's demonic activity do not want to give up the spirit. Remember how much you fought to give up particular spirits in your life. You just did not want to give. You did not want to turn them loose because you liked them. That may seem unusual to you, but it goes on. Think of the man who likes chasing women. He doesn't want to give up the demon of lust because he doesn't want to give up chasing the women.
Poor John Todd. I guess he should have given up that demon, but he just couldn't get rid of it.
Okay? Now, oppression, possession is impossible for a Christian. Don't let anybody ever tell you that a Christian is possessed. That's an absolute lie of the devil. The next step is oppression. That is...
Well, glad you could stop by. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Thanks, Jude. Appreciate it.
Where the Christian can come. Possession resides in the spirit or the heart of man. Oppression resides in the soul or the mind of man. Obsession resides in the flesh or the body of man. Okay? That would be the best way. Depression is outside. It's tormenting spirits from the outside. unless it's a demon of depression, and then it's inside. But usually depression can be just you not depending enough upon the Lord, so you're allowing the devil to depress you. I'm very funny. I don't allow any in between. I'm not a fence straddler. It's either God or it's the devil. There isn't any in between. And that's the Lord's own words. You're either with him or you're against him. Okay? That's the definitions of them.
Would you give some examples of how witchcraft and occultism are used in advertising?
Yeah. The Inquirer. I get Pentecostals and charismatics upset because I call Catherine Kuhlman a witch. They want proof. The Inquirer, anybody who an article is done on faith healing or supernatural power in the Inquirer must appear in person before the Council of the Grand Druids. How many know about Kuhlman's article several years ago in the Inquirer? You don't get in there without top approval from the board. All right?
The board,
that settles it right there. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know how you feel. Next.
It's amazing that this large organized group couldn't hang on to this guy. It amazes me. You know, that they're so well organized and so well done that nobody has spotted them except for him. Well, there's a few others that claim these covens of witches that they've been around forever. They live multiple lives.
You've got symbols, okay? Without going into a long sermon on symbols, witches and Masons identify their ownership of things to the others by their symbol. How many go in it? Witches must do each 8 things to perfect themselves. It's 6,000 years old. 2 of them, one is drugs, one is alcohol, and one is immoral sex. That's 3 right there.
Immoral sex. Immoral sex. I don't know. Would sex be immoral? Can it be immoral? I don't know.
All right? Without even going on any further. That's one symbol. There's symbols all over the thing. The holy year to the Illuminati is the birth date, May 1st, 1976. 76. Anybody recognize that on a sign somewhere? Another beautiful one is Montgomery Ward's and Mobil are one company. Mobil belongs to a company that owns Standard Oil, Exxon, and all of them. It's one.
And all of them. You know, naming names here. Exxon Mobil and Standard Oil are owned by Montgomery Ward, and they are one big conglomerate owned by the same people. Okay. That's not true, but okay.
It's probably 40% of the money that comes to the Illuminati comes to that system of companies. So naturally, those are going to be built up and protected more than others. And what can I tell you? I met a PR man recently who told me he is the public relations man for the new Star Wars sequel. He's a homosexual. He told me there's not one star that's a major star in the new movie that has not gone to bed with homosexuals in order to get the part. He also said the majority of them are being picked from the top occult soap opera in the country. Does anybody have an idea of what that soap opera is?
Anybody have a clue what that soap opera might be that he's claiming is all homosexual? What do you think it would be? Big soap opera in the 70s.
Young and Restless.
Oh, there you go. The Young and Restless. The only way they got their job was being homosexual.
Brad, for those that watch it, is a Christian who counsels through astrology. And one of the new stars is Snapper, the doctor on the show that will be in Star Wars. And the guy told me that instead of 45% of the Star Wars thing being on the Force, 99% will be about the Force. And for the guys who like country western music and think they're safe because it's not rock, Tom T. Hall has just brought out the best-selling song in a long time. It's called The Force, about good witchcraft battling bad witchcraft.
So what he's saying, in case you haven't noticed, what he's talking about is that Star Wars was written by witches. So that means that John Lucas was a witch, I guess. Because, I mean, he wrote, anyhow, interesting thought.
I think good enough.
Bob Melton, question is about acupuncture.
Yeah. Acupuncture is part of a monk system that also developed Kung Fu and other things out of China. Okay, I'll classify it along with Laetrile. There is absolutely no scientific evidence that Laetrile heals, but it heals. When the people, a new study came out that had been healed by cancer through Laetrile, were tested for psychic powers. They all rated in the 75% range, which is excellent. In other words, their faith in the drug, and since God's not using the drug to heal them, their faith in this healing power is healing them. Now, who's healing them? Right, the devil. If you didn't know the devil could heal, I'm sorry, he can't. He'll just end up giving you something worse along the line. But that is what's healing, and it's sweeping through the chiropractic system especially. A lot of them are using Laetrile. And there's no medical thing to heal you. It's pure psychic energy, and if you were here this morning, you know what psychic energy is. Is there a connection between chiropractor and the cult? Not that I know of, except that the Mormons are now really infiltrating the chiropractic system with the herb healing.
The Mormons are infiltrating this chiropractic. Okay. Now you got me lost.
Hank, is there any occult involvement in the hill trade?
Within 5 square mile area of where I live is where they're dumping all the bodies. Louise Huebner lives in the same area.
So they're dumping bodies within 5 square miles of where he lives. That's a little weird. You would think all those bodies would, raise some suspicion.
I don't know. I can't get any information. I can't get any information at all, so I don't know. They're holding things back. I doubt it, but I will tell you what is involved. The same spirit that was in the Son of Sam. Okay? The same spirit that was in the trash bag killer who said he killed 34 young boys after raping them so he could become the top mass murderer in the world and break the record in Houston. These are demons that are going to come in the next year. You think this is something. Wait till you pick up the newspaper every day and this new killer is struck. You're going to have killers all over the place that are trying to break each other's records. Because you've got demons all over the place trying to break each other's records. Okay? That's the best I can answer you. I don't know if it's a cult. It may be, but since there's no report of blood loss, I doubt it.
Tony? Reflexology and acupuncture?
I have no idea.
Jim?
You mean the fake energy crisis? I'll repeat that. I'll repeat that. He said last time I was here, I mentioned the schedule that the Council of the Rothschilds had for domination of the world that would be fulfilled within 11 years of 1972. And
so that had been 1982. 11 years of prophecy would have been fulfilled. I wonder what prophecy that was.
And he asked me if the faith, can I add that word? Faith energy crisis had anything to do with it. What do you think started it? That's what's going to cause World War III. You've got to get out of the system of thinking this guy over here is a bad guy and this guy over here is a good guy. You can't do that. It's not a football game. You can't pick the Rams over the Vikings. You can't pick America over Russia. You can't pick Saddam over Begin. You can't do it. You've got to look to the guy who's pulling the strings. His name is Rothschild. Okay? Remember now, Saddam's being called the man of peace right now. But who wrote him letters asking him to go to Israel? Jimmy Carter.
Oh my
Who set the whole thing up? Jimmy Carter. Don't lose sight of it.
Set it all up with Israel.
He's been losing popularity. He's never had any popularity with me. They say he's losing popularity with the conservative Christians. That's because the ones who voted for him just because he was a Christian have now learned he's not a Christian. I heard a speech. How many heard his press conference in Hungary? You really should buy a shortwave set. I mean it. I really recommend it in my meetings. A Baptist over in Hungary got up that wrote for the Baptist press over there. I don't know what type of Baptist he was. But he got up and he praised Carter for being a Christian and uplifting the Christian standards in America. I don't know what paper he's reading. And would he please get the Catholics off their back in Hungary? He told them, sorry, government and religion don't mix. Why don't he practice it here? No. He's going to lose popularity. He's going to gain it. But if Carter's the type of man that if he thought that he was going to lose the election, he would take this country by force. And if you don't think a president of the United States can do it, you better do some research. He can, overnight, by picking up the telephone.
Did Carter ever try to run the country by military force? I don't think he ever did. Seems a little weird, but okay.
He can place us in martial law and suspend everything. He'll do it because it's going to be the time. Okay. All right. I agree with you. Get on our hands and knees right now and start praying. Yeah. I've heard the same thing. They need some prayer. You know, I hate the way Christians pray today. Now I lay me down to sleep type prayer, you know? 5 seconds and you've done your duty for the day. I don't know what it is.
So he doesn't like the way people pray. Wouldn't that be up to, a personal relationship with God? So, I mean, shouldn't have to meet some sort of standard, I would not think. But, I don't know. Is there a right or wrong way to pray? Maybe you guys know.
I guess it's my habit in the occult. I had to spend hours meditating and reading every day. So why can't I do it for the Lord? The Christian churches wonder why the witches are walking all over them. Because the witch's prayer life is stronger than the Christian's prayer life. Way back here in the back.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I try to leave it alone because the man I'm kind of at fault at this. The man who led him to the Lord was bribed out. He denies all this now. One of the checks plus a huge parcel of about 150 acres of land in Delaware, Ohio, I arranged as a bribe for him when I was in control. So I kind of leave it alone. I mentioned it because I didn't want people to get any hope of the Kennedy assassination being solved in Congress, But anyway, he was led to the Lord in Ybor City, which is a Cuban refugee city within Tampa, by the help of the mayor who had just been converted to Christianity and this minister who is now probably one of the biggest witches within Christianity, bought and paid for, named Leroy Jenkins. But back at this time, he wasn't. Yes. Wait till the buzz is done. Okay, speak louder. I got the thing about Salem and I picked it up. He's smiling. Okay, I'll repeat all this. You'd like me to talk about Salem and the Inquisition, and also about the Masons and their contact with the occult? I would love to. I think we'll spend that'll take the rest of the evening. For one, okay, how many have read history or were taught history on the Salem witchcraft in school? Sorry, I'm going to disappoint you. No witches were killed. Christians were. The witches did the execution. And if you want to spend a few $1,000s in about a month like my wife and I did, go to the Essex Museum in Salem, and if you can, trick your way into the library like we did, which you're not supposed to be able to, and look at the original manuscripts, you'll find out that the Collinses and the Putlands and others that were there were involved in the witchcraft, and the main charge, which never comes out in any of our history books, was that the people that were executed were all from another town. They're holding Bible studies in their homes, teaching born-again experience, and also discussing the book of Revelations, which was outlawed. But that didn't come out in our history book. But that was some of the main charges. The next thing that went on, the Inquisition, was none of the big witches were ever killed. Most of the people that were killed weren't witches. But the witches sure use it against us, just like Salem. Now, they know that in Salem no witches were killed, but they use it against Christians. They also know in the Inquisition that most of the witches did the executions there, but they use it against us. The bad point is that, and I want to give this to you in case this is ever thrown at you, they used John Wesley against us. Because before his salvation, he was a paid-for witch hunter in England who was responsible for thousands of people's deaths in England. But that was before his salvation, and they neglect to bring that up since they don't believe in salvation. Now, the good ones, the Masons.
Good to see you,
4 years
Winnie.
now, I've been talking to Jack Chick that the Masons were initiated just like witchcraft people. And I guess it never really sunk through to his head that it was, so I got the blackboard out the other day and I drew him and told him word for word, step for step, the initiation into witchcraft of the first level when you join the coven for the first time. Okay? He's going, well, that's what the Masons do. I said, that's what I've been trying to tell you. The vow of secrecy, I've had Masons deny that there was a knife pointed at them when they were led by the summoner to the challenger at the circle to be initiated. But the knife is there, just as it is in witchcraft. They are blindfolded, they are bound, just like in witchcraft. They are led by the summoner to the challenger to a circle with a star, 5 points in it. With the altars, they're led through the gate at the same point and exit the circle at the other point, and it's called, and they're being reborn. The only 3 points that are different is we receive a new name to sprinkle baptism, a completely new name when we're initiated into witchcraft. We drop our robes so that we're new. When we walk in the circle, we'll re-robe because we're born again in the circle. That's been changed now because of the modernists, and they stay robed the whole time, just like the Masons. The other is
Damn
our wrist is cut.
modernists.
But they're doing away with that
Those
in witchcraft now.
bastards.
So the only difference between it now and the Masons is a sprinkle baptism and given a new name. The initiation, word for word, from the time you walk up to the circle to the time you leave, action for action is the same as that I took, my wife took, or anybody else took when he first joined witchcraft. It's what a Mason does when he joins. Now you tell me that the Masons are Christians. The Masons were formed as a Kabbalistic organization going undercover to protect themselves from persecution of witchcraft when witches were being persecuted. And that's how they were formed, and that's their right. Aleister Crowley, which some of you may know about, some of you may not, left the Golden Dawn, which is the private coven of the Rothschilds, and formed his own group. He didn't drop out of the Illuminati, but he almost got himself killed because he published 2 books called The Order of the Golden Dawn. They didn't mind any of it, except he drew the temples of the Rothschilds' personal coven. He drew all the banners on the wall where the altar was set up, but the people were caught everything. And it just so happened there was a book out on Mormonism at the same time that had Masonism that had the very same picture in of a Mason temple.
Oh my!
That's my statement on Masonry. Yeah. Almost all of you are finance, silver mind control, alpha mind control, a lot of the different leagues, the literary groups that are involved in it. Besides, meditation will lead you, if you go on into particularly yoga, to transcendental meditation or projection and other things. The problem with the meditation groups is they give you half-truths in the beginning, just like in witchcraft. And then as you go deeper and deeper, all of a sudden there's things they told you they didn't do in the beginning that they're now teaching you, if you stay with it far enough. And I personally believe that one of the best ways to fill yourself up with demons is to go into meditation groups. Okay, we're running late.
All right, we'll have Johnny Todd back again, the Lord willing. In about 3 months, we want you to pray for him on his Eastern tour. At this time, we're going to have the ushers come forward and receive a special love offering for Brother Johnny Todd. I know that Johnny Todd at this time is...
And there you go. That is the end of that particular series. I hope that you have enjoyed that. And yeah, so this guy's a creeper. Well, was a creeper. He's no longer with us. And we'll go into that in one of the later episodes. I was a little late getting my stream set up and running. I really appreciate all of you fine folks for coming and checking this out. I hope it worked over on Twitter. I appreciate all the new Twitter folks that might have joined in and checked it out. Thank you very much, and all of the fine folks over here on Rumble hanging out all too now. And I know that everybody's going to be heading out here shortly. And I really appreciate everybody coming in and checking this one out. Keep an eye out for Madcore's show, because he's got a really interesting one he wants to have Winning and myself on, which would be awesome. A couple of my favorite people, Madcore and Winning. So we're gonna, just keep an eye out for that. It'll be coming up, and I'll also have Oh, excellent. That's okay, Wendy. You don't have to worry about being here for the live. The replay is always fun. The lovely Wendy H. Good to see you. And yes, so we've got We've got the Federalist Papers that I will be doing tomorrow unless plans change. But just keep an eye out. You'll see that there will be a, if you're subscribed and you've got the little notification bell checked, you'll get a. Let me pull that off the screen. You'll get a notification that it's coming up. All you find folks over there on Rumble. I don't know how it works over there, so whether you can hit the like or anything like that, I don't know. Spread the word around. Come back and say hello. Have a wonderful evening. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up where I like to go on these kind of nights because it's always a blast, but it doesn't look like the expert has anything going on this evening. Let me see if he's got it set up for. No, it does not look like. It does not show that he has a Tuesday night stream. He might be a little bit tired. The expert might be a little bit tired. That's usually where I would be going to check things out and going to see, what actually was happening. Valhalla, check your Discord if you get a chance. I know you're probably chilling out in your barn with those poor animals that need to be fed and groomed and taken care of. Not groomed like that, but I hope that you find this entertaining. And I'm really thankful for all you guys coming and checking this channel out and sticking around and saying hello. it's really appreciated. Thank you again to my mods for all that you do and all the help that you've been offering. And with that, I'm gonna pull out of this stream like Shabusiness couldn't pull a knife out. It's so horrible. But with all that being said, I think that there's some interesting stories that this guy tells, and I will have I may double up on some of these. It just, like I said, all depends on time, and I'm still working on getting the Italy pictures all compiled so I can share those with you. And I may just do those on just a regular chill kind of drinking stream, or just a chill stream that I'll just run through those photos. And yeah. Oh, Valhalla awaits. Do alive. Fill the gap. Fill the gap. Fill the gap. Well, I mean, I could, if you guys want to stick around, I can always pump out another one of these. If I've got like give me enough thumbs up. I see it shows me that there's 9 people in here hanging out. Just kick the dang bucket. No knives. Just kick the dang bucket. You want me to kick the bucket? Why would I kick the bucket? Damn it. Don't kick the bucket. You kick the bucket, you might like rattle some brains loose or something like that. But you guys give me some thumbs up. I'll do another hour of this if you want it. I'll wait. I mean, I'm not that exciting, I don't think. I mean, I might be. Let's see what we got here. There we go. What I'll do is I'll put a poll up there. Let's see. What should we do? Start a poll. And question all you have to do is just give me a yes or a no, and I will continue it going on. if I get enough of you fine folks hitting it, looks like we're 50% yes, 50% no. I love it. I love it. Valhalla, I voted no. Oh, Valhalla's awesome. Got to do barn chores and still make dinner. Yeah, see. So I have to entertain Valhalla at least for another couple of hours while he reaches out and slaps that little slaps that little like button. Oh, you guys are awesome. Well, let's go ahead. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but and in the poll right now, and with the poll, and wow, 83% of you said yes, do another tape. All right, we will bring up another tape because I have that capability. Amazing enough. It just takes me a second because I'm such a boomer on this kind of crap that I could have just left the damn thing up, but no, not me. Oh gosh, dog it. Let's see. There we go. And let's see. We will. All right. Here we go. It's nothing now. Yeah, it doesn't, but it's still good. It still could. Anytime you want to, brother. Anytime. Let's see. Here we go. All right, here we go. We'll do the next tape. This one is only 35
When
minutes.
I was here a month or so ago, I'm surprised. I guess I really should praise the Lord night and day that somebody invented the cassette recorder. We get letters every week, 10, 20, 30 letters of people that have heard our tapes, and our ministry has done something for their lives in places we've never been and people will never see. So I was a little shocked tonight when so many people had heard my testimony that had never met me. But then there was a lot of people that Paul's blessed. He's been gone a long time. If you will, take these out. You want to take some notes probably on them. There is one on the back of it. I think are the colors the same everywhere with the sheets? I can go by color. On the yellow sheet on the back, front, whatever. You got it too. Tomorrow we're going to be, this is the sheet we'll be using tomorrow. We'll be using all the rest of them tonight. And I want to correct something. It's not the pastor's fault. The people who prepared it originally, that's Ephesians 6:12, not 6:14.
Oh, Ephesians
But
6:12.
this is what we'll be teaching on tomorrow night, hoping that we'll have a large bring-in of materials that we'll be talking about tonight to destroy. But let's start with the yellow sheet. And I want you to write a scripture text across it. Revelation 18:23.
Oh my gosh.
At the bottom of the scripture it says, "For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, and for by thy sorcerers were all nations deceived," talking of Babylon. There's no better scripture I know of in the Word of God to describe the Illuminati, which is what we'll be talking about tonight. And we're going to start. I want you to get out. You can lay them across your lap. Find the three pyramids. I think it'll be impossible to lay them side by side because on the purple sheet there's two of them.
Oh my gosh.
But we'll do the best we can with what we have. And take out the Sphinx. Now, most people do not understand the Illuminati. How many people here have ever done any study on the Illuminati before they've heard of me? Okay. How many have done some since they've heard my tapes?
Oh my
Couple,
gosh.
okay. Boy, are the rest of you in for a surprise tonight. I don't want people to listen to me and walk out of here and just accept the things I have. I kind of like it when people go out here and say, "Boy, he's nuts." Because they'll go and they'll try and research to prove that I'm wrong. And the more they research, the more they start believing me. It is impossible to research history and to research the conspiracy and to research the Illuminati without coming away a solid believer. As the brother who prepared these, Brother Tom Berry said he went through almost 2,000 books for 20 sheets of notebook paper filled with notes. That's how well it was hidden. How many people have a set of encyclopedias at home, a good set? So home tonight, look up the word Illuminati.
Oh
In
my
some of the
gosh.
encyclopedias, you will find that it existed but does not exist now. And in other encyclopedias, you will find that it existed and still exists now. But they don't tell you anything about it. Before we go into it, I want to give you a reading list, okay? Now, I want to explain a book before I give its title, and I want.
So now, back in the day, we didn't have Google. We had encyclopedias to find information. And now you have Wikipedia, you have, which, you know, you can trust some of that. Just depends on who's telling the tale. True story. In my previous life, I was a daughter-in-law of a TV evangelist. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, White Rabbit, I was actually going to direct people over to your over to the experts channel, and I saw that he wasn't doing a stream tonight. That's okay. I understand. It was probably been a long day for him. It was a pretty long stream, but hey, that's how it goes. Good to see you, White Rabbit. Good to see you.
You to choose carefully as to whether you want it or not. I don't want you later getting mad at me because I recommended it. It is not a Christian book. It is not a political book. It's a Illuminatist book. The book was ordered, written, and produced by Philip Rothschild, the leader of the Illuminati in this day and age. It was ordered, written by a woman named Anne Rand, and she was at that time one of Philip Rothschild's mistresses. It was written some 12 years ago.
And you know what book he's talking about? That he's the book he's talking about would be the one and only.
She was already a well-known author, and her books sell nationwide. Mostly people who read them are communists.
Not even close. Not even close. But okay.
And she wrote this book. It was supposed to be a novel. It's 1,100 pages. So if you don't like to read, don't buy it.
Well, and it's funny because almost all of her first books, The Fountainhead, they cover the same kind of issue, a conundrum of how bad socialism, communism is. That's one of her big against Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. I think there was another one, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, they're interesting reads, but there's always something that these new utopian kind of authors leave out, and it's always been a curious question. They leave out children because I think having children changes people in their attitude towards whatever it might be that they're so for or against. Priorities change because now you're caring for somebody else and not just caring about yourself. And that sort of fails in the utopian society. Is it's more about self than about everybody else. So it's weird. If it's Jane Fonda, I'm gonna rage quit. No, it's Ayn Rand. That's who he's talking about.
And it was written as a novel, supposedly, but it is a code book. And within the book is a step-by-step plan to take over the whole world by taking over the United States. Now, I'm going to say many things tonight that a lot of people will try and go out of here and say that I'm anti-American. No, I'm extremely pro-American. I couldn't be that till I became a Christian. But I'm extremely pro-American. I am just anti-government that exists within America today.
And that's what Ayn Rand was railing against, about bloated government. I don't believe that for a second. The longest book you read was Stephen King's The Stand. Yeah. Read Civil War. That was a long one. The Blue and the Gray. That's what. Yeah, that one was a really long book. Gone with the Wind was long too, but yeah, Jane Fonda.
because it is not the government of the people any longer, and I'm pro-people government. That's a term misused by communists a lot. I'm sorry if you're upset that I use, but that's exactly what it says in the Constitution. Oh, this is what I've been waiting on. I'm glad he brings it. I know what's in it. Wouldn't be the first time. Now, the power of the Illuminati, and I'll give an explanation. The Illuminati is as following. Okay, first, most people have found the Illuminati in things that have crossed their path. People have found it in the occult, and mistakenly they have said, aha, the Illuminati is the occult. Then they have found it in the Masons, and they said, aha, the Illuminati is the Masons. Then they have found it in politics. They said, oh, it's politics. So they found it in the international banking system, or they found it in Zionism. So they list it as just being that. Actually, it is all these things and much more. They found it in the Mormon religion. That's because the leaders of the Mormon religion are high echelons in the Illuminati. They have found it in the John Birch Society. That's because the man who leads the John Birch Society is both a high-degree Mason and a Mormon. But it is all these things, and its power is finance. If you would take its finance away, which is impossible. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you the name of the book, and I just realized that. I started out. I'm getting ahead of myself. The book is called Atlas Shrugged. Oh, Atlas, you know, Atlas supposed to hold up the world, shrugged, like you shrug your shoulders. Atlas Shrugged. Now, this is the warning that goes with it. I'll be...
And it's Atlas Shrugged. And it's a what if the people, the workers of the world that really want to see. You're so wrong. You're so wrong, expert. You want to see the Barbie movie. All right, Ken. I got you. Yes. How many people sound just like this guy today when it comes to conspiracies? Yes. That is an issue. So, Atlas Shrugged is talking about if the people that hold the world together, the people that innovate, create, if they stopped producing, what would happen? Sort of a what if. That's really what the book is. And I mean, it's interesting if you ever want to watch it or read it. And I think they did a series of movies with like different actresses.
Talking about occult books tonight and how demons are in occult books and in their music and so on. This isn't so with this book. They didn't place a spell on this book because they did not want people to buy this book other than those told to buy it within the occult and within the Illuminati. They're extremely mad because just this year alone they sold several million of them, mostly to Christians, and they don't like that. In fact, they've tried to stop printing it, and people don't want to stop printing it. They're making so much money. The bad thing about it, though, is that since it is written as a novel, it has some passages that I think might belong in Hustler or other places. Maybe out of 1,100 pages, you might count 5 that are this way. You can tear them out and throw them away. They're just stuck in there to hope. They're stuck in there on purpose to keep Christians from reading the book. So if you should get to a passage that is a little something you shouldn't read, just turn to the next page. It'll be over by then, and you can go on with the story. Now, if you don't like to read, skip the first 200 pages. The first 200 pages is exactly the way most people in the world are. They're very boring. No, actually, they're the conspiracy from people in all the walks of life talking about this incident happening and that incident happening. And you know, it's very boring to the fact it lets you know that it's the conspiracy that's planning the incidents. It's like reading the newspaper today. You don't really know what's happening behind it. But after about the first 200 pages, 8 chapters, 9 chapters, something like that, it starts showing you that everything that is happening is conspired to happen. And I'm going to give all these things, and I want to say something before I give the rest of the reading list. The common name for the Illuminati is the conspiracy, or the Great Conspiracy. Now, until we lost the school system to people within the Communist Party and within the organization of the Illuminati and so on. You were taught in your history classes, and some people can remember this if they want to confess up to being that old, that history was taught that it happened because somebody conspired for it to happen. Then we didn't want in this nation anybody to get ideas that maybe our government was a conspiracy. So they decided to start teaching that it just happened because it happened. You know, World War II happened just because some people got mad. World War I happened because some people got mad. The Depression happened because we bought too much too soon without enough money. They did not want anybody to get the idea that it all happened because somebody conspired for it to happen. But I hope to accomplish one thing tonight more than anything, that I will change your attitude, that I'll set new forms of patterns or whatever in your life, that you will walk out of here and when something happens, you'll go, now I wonder what they're really up to.
Ooh.
Really? Okay?
What are
And
they
we'll be
really
talking
up
about
to?
a few things tonight. I want to start with the yellow sheet. Now there's something missing on the yellow sheet. I want you to draw a block. No, don't draw a block, I'm sorry. Under the First National Bank, write Federal Reserve Act, or the Federal Reserve Commission, FRC, FRA, whichever way you want to write it. You can abbreviate it or whatever you want to do. All right? Now, if you look at the pyramids, let's start with the one that says organizations. Now, there's no way to preach a sermon when you're given a teaching like this. I'm going to play school teacher tonight. If some of you find it boring, you happened in the wrong meeting, because you might as well think that you're back in high school or going to college or whatever, because that's about what it's going to be like tonight. I'm going to give a lot of facts. I'm going to try and leave enough time that we can have some questions, because there's no way I can say all I'm going to say tonight without leaving some people in confusion. Pastor disappeared. Here he is. Did you turn that air conditioner on? It's hot in. No, I don't feel nothing. Can't put this many people in a building like this without starting something. Okay. Start with the one that says organizations. And if you'll notice on all the pyramids, the first three blocks are exactly the same. Now, if you've heard my testimony, you know that I came from the Council of 13. Now, I want to stop, take about 3 minutes to explain the doctrine of the high part of the occult. The last four levels of the occult, or the last three levels of the occult, the fourth, fifth, and sixth level, and most of the modern cults today, particularly Mormonism, believe the same thing. How many people ever saw a movie called The Dunwich Horror? Nobody ever saw that movie. A couple people saw it. Okay? And I think Sandra Dee was
The
the star of it or
Dunwich
something.
or the
Okay.
Dunwich?
That was probably one of the strongest movies truthful about witchcraft and their beliefs that ever existed.
Oh,
Now, there was the original occult Bible, witchcraft Bible, was called the Necromonicon. There's only 3 copies in existence today. One is in the town in St. Petersburg Cathedral in the USSR. One is in New York City. No, I'm sorry. One is in Glasgow, and one is in London. I saw when it was on, the one from the London Museum was in New York for a while. I got to hold it and look at it and so on when it was in the occult. Now, from that, the Book of Shadows, the occult Bible, came into existence. Several books have been written from the Necromonicon and are in many Christians' hands today, which we're hope that will burn before it's over. Now, according to the Necromonicon, the beginning of the world happened at man or mortals. If you watch The Witch, you know the difference between witches and mortals. That mortals, or everyday earth men, women, and so on, kind of descended from the apes and so on, and that at the beginning of this world, the son of the creator of all the dimensions and universe came from the dimension that the gods dwell in. They came here by, believe it or not, flying saucers, and that they mated with the people of this world, and their children were the witches. And this is actually found in a book called the Book of Enoch, which contains the Book of Noah, which contains all of this garbage. Now, according to it, the little people were the witches, the fairies, the hobbits, the elves, and so on, and they were the dwellers of this world. And then through intermarriage, they started becoming everyday people.
fairies, hobbits.
Now, the son of Lucifer was called Adam. Now, this is exactly, except they don't call it Lucifer, that is in the Mormon Bible. And that Adam being the father of this world, and Eve, they also called Asherah, Diana, Isis, Aphrodite, many names, Hector, Selene. In other words, the mother of creation was his wife. Now, according to this doctrine, the people that came to this world were the gods that lived on Olympus and other places of high altitude, and that when the Rothschilds back in about the 17th century or so, the gods started living in the Rothschilds. They had chose them as the purest family in the occult belief, and through the Rothschilds, making them gods, not mortals, not witches, but gods themselves, they created the Illuminati. Now, I might throw in this, and we'll discuss it later. They believe that Adam is alive again today and is ready to rule the world.
No. Here's where his prophecies come in. Oof.
But peace, by the way. What else? Now, if you look at the pyramids, the capstone is free from the pyramid because the capstone is the Rothschilds, and they do not consider them human. They consider them gods. And the
Rothschilds,
eye is the father god, Lucifer. Now, the Council of 13 is right there because they are the Rothschilds' private ministers. The Illuminati functions as all of the pagan governments used to function, of Babylon, of Moab, of Egypt, of Greece, of Rome, of Scotland, of Ireland, and so on. All the pagan governments function the same way. The priests and priestesses of the temple told the rulers of the government, like the pharaohs or the Caesars or whatever, what to do, because they were told by the gods what to do, and the pharaohs listened to them. Now, in this case, the gods are the Rothschilds. So if while I'm speaking tonight, and if you heard my testimony, you wonder, why can one man...
He doesn't really know history very well either, which is amazing. You would think that this man would know some history. That's not... Whatever, this guy's foolish. And he gets so many people riled up thinking it's the Rothschilds. Well, might as well
so
attack
young
them.
in witchcraft and so on, tell governors and senators and sometimes even presidents what to do. It's because they belong to the Illuminati, and the Illuminati is a pagan government that listens to them because they don't give the orders. They simply repeat the orders that was given to them by that capstone called the Rothschilds. Now, we drew the three pyramids that make up the Illuminati, and you can study them later.
3 pyramids.
But there's one that I want to take before we go into the yellow sheet. I think it's on the purple one here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's take organizations real quick. I want to read you something. Now, I know we have some Masons here. I'm going to get you again. Now, many of you know that I did a book for Chick Publications called The Broken Cross. We've written another one that'll be out in about 3 months. You wouldn't believe the threats that have come over this book. It hits the Mormons. It hits the occult. It hits the conspiracy and the Rothschilds. It hits the Masons.
Oh, my gosh.
Man, I think they're going to have to go into a bomb shelter instead of a bulletproof windows over there. And it's really brought the infiltrators within the Christian church out into the public. And I'm going to read you a passage that came out in the book. I'm going to read you a passage from one of the highest books written in Masons. It is a book that is only supposed to be read by 33rd degree Masons and those of the 30th, 31st, and 32nd whose lives prove that they are not Christians, that they can hand this book to. We have a copy of it. We photostat the copy, and we have been showing it around the country. We have been getting people out of Masons right and left. Of course, we've been getting a lot of Masons.
He doesn't know anything about Masons either. I'm not a Mason. My grandfather was a Mason. And yeah, he doesn't understand what Masons are. But that's okay. It's still entertaining.
Matters too. But I'm not going to do what I usually do and really pick on the Masons tonight. I'm just simply going to read from 2 books of theirs, and I'm going to let the Masons draw their own conclusion. That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is a God that one adores without superstition. To you, sovereign, grand, inspectors general, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degree, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine.
That's nothing to do with the Masons. That has nothing to do with the Masons at all.
If Lucifer were not God, would Abaddon, now before I go on, I want to say Abaddon is found in Revelations for you students of Revelation as the keeper of the pit, the demon over all the rest of the demons. Would Abaddon, the God of the Christians, whose deeds prove his cruelty, profanity, and hatred of men, barbarism, and repulsion for science, would Abaddon and his priests culminate him? Yes, Lucifer is God. Thus, the doctrine of Satanism is a heresy, and the true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Abaddon, Jesus Christ. But Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Abaddon, the God of darkness and evil. They're calling Jesus Abaddon. They're calling Lucifer everything we believe of Jesus, and Jesus everything we believe of the devil. And that's in one of their own books. Now, if you'll notice on this 3 blocks of any of them, you'll notice the Council of 33. The Council of 33 is the following. Within the Masons, there are the 32nd degree, then there is the honorary 33rd, and then there is the 33rd. I'm going to read you from the Lost Keys of Freemasonry, written by Manly P. Hall, a 33rd degree Mason, and co-authored by another man, a 33rd degree, and illustrated by a 32nd degree Mason. All were in the Masons. This was written in 1942. It's a book for Masons only. I'm going to read you the initiation to become a member of the Council of 33, the third, or actually the second highest council within the Masons. Within the Illuminati. When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability.
Not true. It's a lot of people that were associated with his guy, and oh no, it's still going on. These people do happen to disappear, but also there's a lot of these are doing this by their own hand. So it's very interesting that the people that he was involved in, and at the end, towards the end after this, I'll pull up some information of people that he was involved in, and they still exist today. Jack Chick, for example, is one of them. James Japan. James Japan was a very big proponent of him. You'll see.
Properly apply energy. He must follow in the footsteps of his forefather, Tubal-Cain, who with the mighty strength of the war god hammered his sword into a plowshed. Now, when I was saved, I complained. Well, no, what am I saying when I was saved? I didn't find this out until I was saved. When I was in the occult, I complained at our council meetings because the 33rd council had so much power. And I are very proud people. And I complained that they didn't do the same thing. Now, we really didn't know what the Council of 33 did or what their rights were because we were occult and they were Masons. When I got...
And here, I'll show this really quick because there's I'll show the first group that he was involved in. Man, that's bright. The first group that he was involved in are these right here, which is called the Family International. It was also known as the Family, the Children of God, the Family of Love, Teens for Christ. 4 members have accused Pt.5 of being an authoritarian cult, which engages in systematic physical and sexual abuse of children, resulting in lasting trauma among survivors. The group has also been accused of targeting vulnerable people. So he was involved with this. The family movement had tens of thousands of members, including River and Joaquin Phoenix, Rose McGowan, Jeremy Spencer. Pt.5 initially spread a mission of salvation, apocalypticism, spiritual revolution, and happiness, and the distrust of the outside world, which the members call the system. Like some other fundamentalist groups, it foretold the coming of a dictator called the Antichrist, the rise of a brutal one-world government, and its eventual overthrow by Jesus Christ in the second coming. In 1976, it began. So, yes, and they are still around. They still exist. Yes. Don't use Wikipedia. It's easy. It's very easy. That is part of his first group that he was involved in. So, yes, that's why I'm using it. John Todd was instrumental in crossing religious fundamentalism into fringe conspiracy theories. Today, people spout his rhetoric and have no idea that they are doing it. Well, he was not the first. There was many that did it before him. He was just recorded on a lot of these. He was a grifter. He was a sham, and he was a lot of the things that he's talked about have been easily proven wrong and not true. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong in this, but I believe, and I can't remember the name of the family that moved up to Ruby Ridge, were big followers of him. And so conspiracy can get a little bit deeper. At least that's what's been told, that they heard him speak and decided to move off grid. So it gets a never heard of the Collins family. Yes. I've never even heard of the Collins family. But they were supposedly witches from back in the day. Back in 1776, they first moved to this country.
Saved and saw this. I found out they did do the same thing. The warrior on the block right, remember I said they must prove their ability to properly apply this energy? The warrior on the block right is human sacrifice. They did do the same right. The very leaders that lead the Masonic belief, remember they said of the high initiates, they laugh at the Blue Lodge and those below them because of what they really know and who they really worship. We had a man saved about 2 weeks ago, or about 3 weeks ago now, in Jacksonville, Florida. It was a 32nd degree Mason. His father was a 33rd. His future father-in-law was a 33rd. His mother and future mother-in-law and fiance were all on the Eastern Star, and he was ready to perform the warrior on the block when he was saved. He told us, can I come hide at your retreat? My own parents will set me up to be killed because I have left the Mason. Now,
He's not telling the truth at all. That is not true. It is 100% bullshit.
that's a 32nd degree Mason saying that. You think about it. All right? Now, go with me to the back of that purple sheet to political organizations. Okay? The Trilateral Council and the Council of Foreign Affairs. There's two separate blocks there, and it shouldn't really be. You can leave it this way. The Trilateral Council is the brain center of the Council of Foreign Relations. Most people do not know that America...
Sean D., if you find sin boring, well, then you're doing it completely wrong. You're not sinning right. As a Mason, I'm offended. My grandfather was a Mason, and my uncle still is a Mason, just not as active. My grandfather was that of his lodge. He was the head of his lodge, and he actually, whenever I talked to him about it, it made it's hard to explain. I would rather not talk about it. not that it's bad. It's just there's a lot to unpack there, and yeah, he's it's a little bit different attitude than what this guy's making it out to be, which is complete bullshit. From things that I've talked with my grandfather about, that yeah, I know this guy's full of shit.
Without being an official member, is a member of the European Common Market. The Trilateral Council.
And That's it right there. Couldn't afford it. Yes. That's why my grandfather never went into Shriners, because that was he just couldn't. He was like, yeah, I'm not spending that kind of money. It's a lot of money. A lot of money.
Is the American version of the European Common Market. Every man in the Council of Foreign Relations and every man in the Trilateral Council believes that Lucifer is God supreme, has declared it, has taken a vow of secrecy, and has dedicated his life to seeing that Adam gains the world. Our president is a member of the Trilateral Council, and that is a well-known fact for people who dig into politics. So please don't anybody tell me how great a Christian he is. Now, let's go over to the all sheet, to the Sphinx, and we'll go on with something else. I'm going to give you the rest of that reading list. I haven't forgotten. Just bear with me. When you study Atlas Shrugged, this book was written, as I said, 12 years ago. You will find out that you are reading the front pages of the paper today. The oil shortage that doesn't exist. They state that they destroy their own oil wells, that they hide their own.
He's talking about Jimmy Carter. That's the president he's talking about. That is the president at the time that he's talking about being the Antichrist. Oh, also John Todd claimed that Kennedy faked his assassination, and he was, and one of his recordings said he was just hanging out on his boat with him, so he knows that he wasn't assassinated. That he faked his death. True, that's what he says.
Oil, so nobody can have it. They state how they destroy the coal mines and shut the coal mines down, to shut the electricity down. They state how they cripple the country and no food is grown. It states how they pick and derail trains and so that no trains go. It states how they sink and pirate thousands of ships every year. We just recently heard a report by the Coast Guard down in Florida, how they're asking people not to sail out on pleasure craft in the Bermuda Triangle area, not because they believe in the Bermuda Triangle, but because over 1,000 ships were pirated last year and everybody on board was killed and dumped in the ocean. Now, they don't like to put that in the front pages. You see, that might cause some people to wonder about some things. And this is all in this book that was written 12 years ago. And in the book, they gain control of the world by bankrupting their own businesses. The Illuminati owns most, I would say 99 9/10 of the stores that you walk into and shop and the gas stations you go to. And they are going to destroy them on purpose.
Well, according to John Todd, those UFOs are aliens. According to John Todd. The book according to John Todd. John D. Of course you're a Mason. Yeah, it would. People think that Masons are a religion. It is not a religion. Jeez.
They are in the process of buying up over the last few years all the stores they don't own. They bought up grants. They bankrupted. They just bought up 2 guys, and you can watch for them to go out of business. And they keep in business the ones that they've always owned, and they are going to bankrupt them before long and cripple them and destroy them. And the idea of taking over is to bankrupt the whole world where nothing is of any value and the currency does not exist anywhere, and then come back and solve all the problems. I heard the Gators, which are my favorite group, recently on a record in a live concert. The guy was talking about the energy crisis.
So, yeah, he's does that sound familiar? That they're going to derail trains. I mean, train derailments happen all the time. Is it a big conspiracy? Derail trains to shut everything down. World will run out of money. This is going to happen in 11 years to make for the coming of the Antichrist. Oh, cool. Not active member, haven't paid dues in years. Yeah, that happens. And my grandfather offered to pay my initiation dues if I was interested, because I talked to him about it at some point in time, but it was just I just don't have the time for it. It's a dedication kind of thing. You have to be really dedicated to your craft.
He says it's funny. It doesn't matter if it's Republicans or Democrats. They get elected, they cause us problems, and then solve them
Yes.
so it looks like they're doing something. Now that's about the way it really is. And the book in Atlas Shrugged ends with the hero, John Galt, which is really Philip Rothschild, lifting his hand up in the air and drawing the symbol of his organization. Never says Illuminati in the book. In the air and says, we shall follow this symbol back. And the symbol that he draws is that. Can everybody see it from where you're at? The dollar sign. Now, the dollar sign is only used in America, by the way. Nowhere else to represent money. It's almost 8,000 years old.
The dollar sign is used to represent money. And in other countries, they use a different symbol for the euro, a different symbol for lira. It's easily recognizable. That's all that it is. Oh, cool. An elk. I don't know. An elk. Start the goat sons or something like that. That sounds dirty, but
Probably older. Goes back, and you find it in the pyramids. And it means to scourge or to punish, and through punishment to purify and make right. That's what it means. Funny that's what we symbolize their money. Now, the Rothschilds lead the Illuminati, and in every country they have a family, with the head of that family being the head of the Illuminati. In the United States, we have the Rockefellers. David Rockefeller is the head of both the Council of Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Administration or Council, which is the name of the Illuminati within the United States. And there's more blocks in these things and more blocks in the pyramids, but we have placed the main blocks that would interest America. And the main source of finance for the Illuminati and the whole world, but particularly in the United States, is the Standard Oil Company. Now, I'm going to educate you about something tonight that the Illuminati hoped nobody would ever find out about.
the Standard Oil Company is. I don't know. It should have blocked anything that you said about money. Was John Wayne Todd right? I mean, it's easy to talk in generalities, but no, he was not right. On many occasions, he was not right. What is that? Talking about Masons made my chat go all haywire. Talking about Masons. Oh, that's funny. So, it all depends on the logic. Oh, okay.
Of course, you can check out who owns Standard Oil. That's David Rockefeller. He's the owner of Standard Oil. Now, when we were in the Illuminati, we had to learn the hieroglyphics of the Illuminati, and we had to go and shop at the stores that the Illuminati marked their stores by. Of course, they own almost everything, but their main business is they mark. And Standard Oil is the conglomerate that owns almost everything. If I'm going to tell you the things they own, you're not going to believe what they own. It's that astonishing. If I ask most people today, besides Standard Oil, in fact, I'm going to, what would you say was the number one conglomerate within the United States? Anybody, tell me. Besides Standard Oil. Sears? That's Standard Oil. General Motors, that's the one I was waiting on. Standard Oil owns General Motors. They own Ford. They own American Motors. They own Chrysler. Now, you'll see Federal Department stores down here. Federal Department stores is Sears, Kenny's. A man very close, very powerful in the Illuminati, doesn't live too far from here, that owns all the Federal Department stores. He lives in Columbus. His name is Lazarus. Now, Lazarus owns Federal Department stores. Federal Department stores owns Gold Circle. They own Kresge's, which owns Kmart. They own just about every department store in the United States. Globe, Ontario, so on. They own Woolworths.
It's a cabal. It's a cabal.
Which owns Wilco's. But Standard owns Mobil, and Mobil owns Montgomery Ward's. You getting the message? Now, you can find out what Standard owns because they mark their signs with blue and red, everything they own. They also, in all of their oil companies, mark their oil companies with occult symbols. The main symbol is the sign of their god, the five-pointed star.
I'm muted? I don't think I'm muted. It's not me that's muted. It should be coming through just fine. Still muted? I have no idea why it would be. Is it really muted? Okay. Not now. It was you. Okay. It probably was. Okay. So at the time that he was making this these tapes, he was actually on drugs. And I say you two professional mother. It's fixed now. No, he was on drugs at the time that he recorded these tapes. He was also sleeping with his wife's sister and got her knocked up. So that's the kind of person that he was. It's the man trying to silence you. It's not me, it's you. No, I know. I think I hit the button, and well, I'm a goofball. You gotta say YouTube professional for me. Man, I'm a YouTube professional mother effer. On drugs, gasp. Color me shocked. No, he was yeah, this is weird. Yes, he's a character. He's a character. Well, according to what is it? James Japan claims that John Todd was assassinated with a sniper by a sniper. No, he actually died in a mental institution, but that's not what they claim. Hence, how are you going to tell somebody that they're wrong? Thank you very much. I appreciate you, brother.
Now, and the strongest version I've ever seen of it is a 5-pointed star radiating rainbow colors, because they know that Lucifer is the god of the rainbow, as they put it. And if you'll read Ezekiel 28, you'll find out he does kind of radiate like a rainbow. He's covered with different colored jewels and so on. And this thing, they have snorkel with the arrow through it, because that's the sign of casting a spell, the arrow. They use 76 because May 1st, 1776 is their birth date of the Illuminati. They use the sign of what witches practice in, this magic circle.
So the birthday of the Illuminati is 1776. Okay. That's new information.
When they write mobile, they write everything in blue, but they leave the circle in red. Most people don't even notice that there's a difference. The winged horse in Marathon, Pegasus, is the messenger of the god. It goes on and on. Holiday.
What is that? Wait, Luckier is the god of the rainbow. Dude, help let people know about this. They're all devil worshippers. Are rainbow people devil worshippers? Maybe we'll do one on that. Iris in Texas. Oh my gosh. Good to see you, Iris in Texas. Pleasure that you're here. Lucifer. Sorry, I know it's hard. It's hard to type whenever you have opposing thumbs. Yes, Lucifer is the god of the rainbow. There you go. So that coat of many colors that Joseph had, it was Lucifer. It's all an Illuminati conspiracy. Just so you know, Joseph should have never got that coat.
And it's the star with the rainbows, and you just go on and on. The eightfold path of what a witch must master to be a powerful witch is the symbol of Denny's. That's owned by them.
And you might have not caught that, but the symbol of Denny's is powerful witchcraft also. There you go, expert. Going to eat your pancakes at the powerful Denny's of witchcraft. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see that they've got Sears separate from Federal Department stores. They really shouldn't. Shell Oil was the last oil company to go when Queen Julianne, which is a member of the 500 here, and her husband, Prince Bryden.
All right, I have questions, Shizzy. Well, ask away. We're not talking about that outpost. When did this dude die? If I'm not mistaken, he died in 2008. What is still going on with this? He died in 2008, and in 2018, I believe he was still being talked about, and of course, we're still talking about him today. Yes, all types of weird stuff. Yes, it depends on what you're reading, because there's a lot of people that like to put out information, and spread the legend of John Todd, and claiming, that he's still alive or that he was assassinated. Different claims that it was a conspiracy to have him silenced. But the truth was that he was not doing the speaking engagements anymore, and was teaching karate, and essayed a few of his students, underage students. He was serving 12 years in a mental institute, 12 years in prison, and they moved him to a mental institution because he basically was making wild, outrageous claims that are verifiably soft. So he ended up in a mental institution. He was diagnosed in the military of being a compulsive liar. He could not tell the difference between truth and a lie. That's why he was discharged from the military. What do they call that? Section 8? I believe that's what it is. Section 8 out of there. No, he didn't shoot a German officer.
And Philip Rothschild owned 90% of Shell Oil. Gall doesn't bear occult science because it's owned by British Products, but British Products is owned by the Illuminati. Bosnios is owned by the Mafia that's controlled by the Illuminati. I don't know why Union 76 is separate because it's a member of Standard Oil. But this will give you an idea. And First National Bank is doing a new thing now. They're putting out 13 circles on their buildings with all the emblems of the Illuminati on them. I guess they want lots of power. They've used the 13 plus the I and plus, different things and so on. Chase Manhattan Bank and Bank America are both owned by the Rockefellers. First National is owned by the Dows and the DuPonts and the Kennedys. And the I am cracking up. I told you, right, Federal Reserve Act, it's on there. I'm not even looking tonight. The Federal Reserve Act, most people think is a section of the United States government. It is not. The Federal Reserve Act is a stockholder-owned company. It's illegal. It's against the Constitution of the United States, but nobody dares oppose it. Now, what most people don't realize is the Constitution says Congress will set our weights and measures and the values of our dollar. But the Federal Reserve Act does that. Now, the Federal Reserve Act was pushed through by Woodrow Wilson, the first Illuminati president since Thomas Jefferson. And he was smart. He adjourned everybody to go home for the Christmas holidays and kept 55 congressmen and senators back that belonged to the Illuminati. This was back before they ran Congress. And before everybody could get back, he adjourned Congress, and they passed the Federal Reserve Act. You see, now they do it in a different way. They own everybody. Now, I want to say a couple more things, and then we're going to go into some things here on those signs, and then we're going to take questions. If you'll take up this blue sheet that says Illuminati Plan for World Takeover. All right. Look for, it says Democratic President gets laws enacted. They're talking about JC. The first law that the Illuminati has, but they have not got passed yet, the number one law they want passed is called the Dow Gun Act. I'm sorry, the Dees Gun Act. It's penned by Isaac Bonowitz, which you'll find on the Council 13 list there, but it's supposed to really be penned by Martin Dees, who led Jimmy Carter's campaign and is head of the National Handgun Control Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, most people don't know how important it is that we not lose our constitutional right to own a gun. The Illuminati will never be able to start Helter Skelter, which is on this thing, and you can read about it later,
unless they can convince the people that they're not going to have to go from door to door fighting their way down the street as they burn and kill and rape and everything else. So they have promised them there'll be nothing existing in the form of guns in anybody's hands within the next year and a half.
So did that happen? 1976, next year and a half, did they eliminate all handguns? Well, Helter Skelter, Manson. No, they did not. And that was that was pretty hilarious. Helter Skelter, Manson. Yes, that he claims that Manson was hired to kill Sharon Tate, and he only got paid $2,000 for it, and that it was actually a $50,000 hit that was out on Sharon Tate, and that by the time it got filtered down to Manson, it was only $2,000. So it's $50,000 is quite a lot of money. That could buy you a home. So, and a nice home at that. Yep.
Now, I think that that's where the Illuminati is going to have a little problem, because they had counted.
You just called George Lucas, John. No. Yes, I did. You're right. I did. George Lucas. Thank you. Thank you for calling me out on that. I appreciate it. No, but see, that was the thing. He convinced other people to do it. There you go.
On passing the same law in Massachusetts as the test law, and they lost it. The law would have gave the National Guard the right to come into your home and the state police without a search warrant and search for your guns and confiscate them and arrest you if you had not turned them in with 60 days of the passing of the law.
Does that sound familiar? I mean, that's part of the conspiracy. This is why these guys do so well with their conspiracies.
They thought that since Massachusetts was the strongest anti-gun state in the nation, and since Ted Kennedy supposedly wrote the bill himself, it would get passed. Boy, were they in for a shock. It lost by a landslide, almost 3-1. And that has thrown them in fear that maybe that same law would not be passed in the United States. Now, the other laws remove tax exemption from churches, House Bill 41, I spoke of when I was here before. By the way, did they pass that bill here? That one you were fighting, 1441, or they did pass it? They passed it? It was about tax or something here. It didn't come to vote? Okay. Now, 41, I understand, has been passed by now, at least by my information of what I can get. And it is supposed to pull the tax exemption from churches not belonging to the World Council of Churches or not having memberships of 500. And then...
and he's talking about something very interesting, which is part of the law that they were passing. At this period of time, there was civil rights acts that were in place to integrate schools, because segregation in the schools was a big problem. Now, a lot of churches were being formed out of this because they were also integrating churches. A lot of churches were following that same kind of doctrine of not wanting to have people of a different race in their congregation, and this was violating civil rights acts, and the government stepped in and basically said you can't do that. That's violating their civil rights. So a lot of churches would splinter off and start their own churches and start their own schools, and the government really was saying, well, that's, I guess, a way to get around it, but you're not going to receive any federal funding for doing this. And they were like, we can't stop you from doing that, but you won't receive any federal funding for it. And this is what he's going off about on this particular thing is, and some of the churches that he was talking at had that belief that these churches should be segregated. These schools should be segregated. So the church would start its own school to segregate. And they wouldn't get federal funding. So there's the caveat to that.
Well, it doesn't say it's a poem. It says that you must go to court and prove that you should stay tax deductible, and you'll spend a couple $1 million in court, so it's not worth battling. Then those that keep their status, all except those belonging to the the National Council of Churches denominations, which leaves out independent Baptists, by the way, all except them, no other exemption. You will have your name, your address, your phone number, just people coming in, let's keep on, printed in every post office in the United States. Plus, you may have gifts of the thing. This is what the bill's about. The next is the genocide.
If he changed the Masons and Illuminati to liberals and Jews, how different does this sound from modern day radical discourse? Just saying. Yes. Yes, that does happen. Oh, my bad. I was somehow way back in the stream. It happens. I've done that before too. You put the phone in your pocket and you start, hitting it with your leg.
Yeah. Now, this law was defeated 8 years ago, and it's up for vote again in about 3-4 weeks. Now, it will send you to the federal penitentiary if you convert somebody from the faith that they were born into. I don't mean born again into. It's a copy of a law in Egypt that you must leave everybody alone to their own faith. That means if you convert a Mormon, a Catholic, a Southern Baptist, something like this. Nobody laughed on that one. If you convert somebody from another faith, even if they're over 21, their parents may press charges against you and have you indicted, not for conversion of somebody, catch this, for genocide. And you'll stand trial, not for some misdemeanor, but for murder. That's right. And that one is being pushed through. The next is the presidential martial law powers. It's called the Martial Law Act. It's already been passed. I think it was passed last November, signed, enacted in a law. Now, I want to say something. If you haven't heard about these, that's because you typically do something that the Illuminati counts upon. Now, people, I'm going to try and change your life with this. When Congress is arguing over something about a law that they're going to pass or something they're going to do or somebody they want to fire or get rid of, start digging and find out what they're really doing that you're not hearing on the television. The only time Congress or the government argues or does publicity about anything they're doing is when they don't want you to know what else they're doing. It's a smokescreen. When they fired, I can't even think of his name now, that guy that was on President Carter's committee and so on, when they fired him, they passed the Martial Law Act. Oh, you weren't looking. Right now, they passed House Bill 41, and they're trying to pass the Genocide Act without you knowing it while they argue over the Panama Canal. Now, we're never going to give the Panama Canal up, even if the law is passed, because we're supposed to get up in the year 200, and all the people in politics believe that we'll have a world government by the year 1980. So they don't plan on giving it. In fact, they don't even believe the Panama Canal is going to exist anymore, that it's going to be blown off the face of the map in a world war about the year 1980. So they don't care what they do. They're arguing over it. They could pass it right now if they wanted to. They're arguing over it and feuding and fussing and getting as much publicity as possible so you won't know about the other laws that they're trying to pass.
Doesn't seem far off. So you'd say the same thing about MTG and the Hunter's Nudes. Is she really hiding? One world government, 1980. Nailed it. Yep. Absolutely.
When you hear something big explode, like the upcoming trials on the congressman and so on over the Korean thing, that's probably about the time that they'll probably pass the Anti-Hoarding Act and finish up the Genocide Act. The Anti-Hoarding Act forbids you to own more than 1 month's food or 1 month's fuel supplies on the penalty of 1 year and $5,000 fine, 1 year in federal penitentiary.
Too funny. Oh, yeah. This dude sounds less crazy in 2023 than he did in 1980. This would have been 76. Yeah. Yeah, this would have been 76.
Now, I want you to go home and ask yourself, why our government, we're not starving yet, we will be before long, but we're not yet, why they want to pass a law forbidding you to have more than 1 month's food supply in your home. why you are not allowed to stockpile food. We're not in World War II when you had to do this. We're now. There's a reason for it. Those are the major laws that they're trying to pass. I got all that stuff out of the way. Now, we'll play school. I'm going to need a mic. Can I move one of these mics with me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, he could. He could.
Do any of them disconnect or? Not really. Okay, then I'll stand over here and point. Excuse me for pointing.
Oh, that was the
What is
end
the
of that
difference?
one. That was the end of that one. So, okay. I'll bring some of this stuff up because it is an interesting bit about this guy. And just to give you a little bit of the other side of the story on some of you folks don't know or not. Let's see. So one of the people that he actually talks about is Lloyd's of London. And let's see. No, I'm not going to bring that one up. It's just a British insurance and reinsurance market located in London. He claims that they are part of the Illuminati. Let's see. We've got it's here somewhere. Always finding the stuff is a little bit weird. And let's see. We will open a new tab, and I had to actually archive this one because it's pretty interesting. So this would have been in September of 2006. So let's bring this up. There we go. Collins v. Hughes in the United States District Court for the District of South Carolina, Columbia Division, September 22nd, 2006. Chris Sarin Collins, formerly number 145461, aka John Wayne Todd, aka Johnny W. Todd, plaintiff, versus Dr. Russell Hughes, Brenda Young Rice, Fred Popper, Reverend Smith, Lieutenant Abney, Dr. Chavez, in their personal capacities, and South Carolina Department of Mental Health for injunctive relief. The opinion of the court was delivered by Joseph F. Anderson, Jr., United States District Judge. Order: factual and procedural background. Chris Sarin Collins is involuntarily civilly committed to the South Carolina Department of Mental Health Behavioral Disorders Treatment Program pursuant to the South Carolina Sexually Violent Predator Act. And there's their citations. Action pro se and in forma pauperis, alleging constitutional violations by defendants regarding his Wiccan religious beliefs and for seizing his personal property. Tells us the cray. No, not true. Bring it up. Oh, here, I'll zoom in a little bit here because this is for him, what he wanted. Defendants regarding his Wiccan religious beliefs. Okay, so he's not a born again Christian anymore. He's Wiccan whenever he filed this. Specifically, plaintiff claims that he is not allowed to attend group religious services for Wiccans. Group worship claim. He is forced to watch drug addiction treatment videotapes that incorporate non-Wiccan religious elements. Dr. Jose Chavez demanded plaintiff renounce his religious beliefs and withdraw certain lawsuits in order to be released from BDPT or BDTP. Dr. Chavez comments, defendants failed to properly follow SCDMH's grievance policy. Defendants Power and Rice verbally abuse him or insult his religious beliefs. and defendants illegally seized some of his female clothing as contraband. Female undergarments claim he seeks injunctive relief and monetary damages. Pursuant to these local rules, this case was referred to United States Magistrate Court for Joseph R. McCory for a report and recommendation. Defendants filed a motion for summary judgment on February 16th, 2006. No, it was not that he was a cross-dresser. Those undergarments that he's referring to are the undergarments from the woman that he essayed and pictures that weren't shown in his trial. He wanted those because they still had them in evidence, and he wanted to receive these objects back. So here he is in 1980 talking about being in 76 claiming to be a born-again Christian, and here he's claiming to be a Wiccan, and they won't let him celebrate his Wiccan religion. Yeah. Plaintiff has failed to show that his exercise of religion has been substantially burdened, that defendants have important and necessary compelling interest for implementing the regulations on the exercise of religion, and that defendants are entitled to qualified immunity. On March 23, 2006, plaintiff filed opposition to defendant's motion for summary judgment. In his report dated August 18, 2006, the magistrate judge recommended that defendant's motion for summary judgment be granted in part as to, I'm going to move this to another page. Oh, that's horrible. Close that. There we go. Now I can see that a little bit better. Okay. And be granted in part as to, let me move that. So crazy getting this stuff where I can actually read it and it doesn't look so damn odd. In his report dated August 18th, magistrate judge recommended that defendant's motion for summary judgment be granted in part as to plaintiff claims concerning group worship, grievance, and verbal insults, and be denied as to plaintiff's remaining claims regarding the video. Dr. Chavez's comments in his female undergarments. Plaintiff filed objections to report on August 29, 2006, and defendants filed their objections on September 11, 2006. This matter is now ripe for the court's review. Discussion. The applicable standard of review is clear. The magistrate judge makes only recommendation of court. This is just talking about procedure. While the federal court is charged with liberally construing a complaint filed by a pro se litigant to allow the development of a potentially meritorious case, see Cruz versus Beto, 72, and Haynes versus Kerner. The requirement of liberal construction does not mean that the court can ignore a clear failure in the pleadings to allege facts which set forth a federal claim, nor can the court assume the existence of a genuine issue of material fact where none exists. After carefully reviewing the applicable law, the record in this case in the report, and the parties' objections, the court finds that the magistrate judge's report recommending dismissal of plaintiff's claim concerning group worship, grievances, and verbal insult by defendants Power and Rise fairly and accurately summarizes the facts and applies the correct principles of law. The court therefore adopts the recommendation of the magistrate judge as to these three claims in full and incorporates his report by specific reference. As to the remaining three claims concerning the video, Dr. Chavez's comment, and the seizure of his female undergarments, the court rejects the recommendation of the magistrate judge and instead finds as follows. In this complaint, alleges Chavez told him that he wanted to complete the BDTP. He should drop his lawsuit and stop practicing the Wiccan religion. He also alleges that Dr. Chavez told him that no sane person in the 21st century would believe in such nonsense. Plaintiffs allege that his discharge was contingent upon renouncing his beliefs and withdrawing his lawsuit. Even assuming plaintiff's allegations is true, And the court must, at the summary judgment stage, defendants have represented to the court and provided affidavits that show that Dr. Chavez has left employment with SCDMH and is no longer in any way involved in the plaintiff's care or treatment. Therefore, the court finds that Dr. Chavez's opinions as to plaintiff's discharge, assuming they are true, cannot, as a matter of law, have any impact on plaintiff's actual discharge, since Dr. Chavez is no longer employed with SCDMH. The court grants defendant's summary judgment on this claim as well. Dr. Chavez is funny. B. Female undergarments claim. Plaintiff alleges that defendants Rice and Abney confiscated his homemade female undergarments as contraband. In their objections, defendants provided affidavits that state the plaintiff has been seen by other residents. Oh, you are right. He is a cross-dresser. So, damn, I have been long overdue for getting told that I was wrong. You are so right. He was a cross-dresser. In their objections, defendant provided affidavits that state the plaintiff had been seen by other residents, changing his clothing, otherwise displaying himself in the female undergarments to other residences. The court agrees that with the defendant that given the nature of the SVP unit and the goals of the program, plaintiff could pose serious security threat by changing and being half clothed in his homemade women's underwear while in plain view of other residents in the program. The very nature of the SVP unit and the residents' participation in the BDTP sufficiently support the confiscation of plaintiff's female undergarments. Defendants have provided supporting affidavits from SCDMH's case manager Martha Williams, or looks like Martha Williams, and a BDTP program manager, A. Nicholas DePace, that indicate from their professional experience that cross-dressing is detrimental to the treatment of sexually violent predators. It's always the radical ones. And the repressed. Ooh. Some weird. And is detrimental to the treatment of sexually violent predators, substantially increases the risk of reoffense and interferes with the other residents' treatment. The court finds that defendant's confiscation of the plaintiff's female undergarments was legitimate given the institutional security issues and interference with the recovery goals of the program. Therefore, the court grants defendant summary judgment on this claim. Plaintiff alleges that defendant Power, as part of a required drug addiction treatment class in the BDTP, uses a video that consists of a Christian priest preaching on the subject that the only way to overcome drug abuse is to become a strong Christian. He alleges Power informed him that if he refuses to watch the videos, he would be forced to start the whole program over again until such time as he agreed to watch the videos. Although defendants cite to Gray versus Johnson, 2005, blah, 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 for support that the video at issue did not coerce plaintiff to support or participate in religion or its exercise. As the magistrate judge pointed out, defendants in their motion for summary judgment provided no evidence to support their argument, such as providing the video in question, therapeutic program policies, or affidavits concerning the purpose and content of the videos. In their objections to the report, defendants subsequently provided some of this information, which would have been more properly submitted in the report of their summary judgment motion for the magistrate judge's consideration. The court finds that the record is incomplete as to plaintiff's claims concerning the video. If plaintiff's allegations are taken as true and all interferences are construed in plaintiff's favor, the court cannot conclude as a matter of law that the plaintiff fails to demonstrate a constitutional violation on this record. In fact, the court cannot determine with certainty which video is at issue. Therefore, the court remands the case back to the magistrate judge with instructions for plaintiff to identify and for defendants to confirm the precise video at issue. Once the video is sufficiently identified, defendants are granted to leave to file a renewed motion for summary judgment on this claim, with proper supporting affidavits and tender of the video issue to the magistrate judge for his review and consideration. However, at this time and on the basis of the current record, the court denies defendant's summary judgment on the video claim. Part 3. Conclusion. The remaining objections by plaintiff and defendants are overruled. Defendant's motion for summary judgment is granted as to all of plaintiff's claims except for those concerning the video. This matter is remanded back to the magistrate judge for further proceedings consistent with this order. It is so ordered. And no, I'm not buying. But yeah, he was a cross-dresser. He was just trying to show how cray-cray he was. So this is the kind of person that you were dealing with here. A little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. No, there was an issue with the female undergarments in an earlier case that he wanted to get back. And that was also denied. It was his attorney that was asking on behalf of him, but I think at some point in time he wasn't getting any more money. And here we go. We'll pull this one up here. So this is James Japan here. So James Japan. Okay. This is discerning the truth about John Todd. This was, I'm sorry, I take that back. This was April 29th of 2014. And I don't have time or the wherewithal to read all of this. John Todd was Scottish originally. Original family name was Collins or Collins. One interesting fact is I'm also descendant of a Scottish family. I can trace my roots back to great grandfather 10 generations back to the 1600s. Same for Francis Collins. Blah blah blah. John used all the correct jargon. Even calls himself not a wizard or a warlock. He shows he's from a multi-generational. Blah blah blah. And John Todd was talking about, honestly say it changed my life. In fact, John Todd's message was much more powerful and important today than any message I ever heard from a pastor at a church. He kept stressing on being born again through repentance. And then he goes on and on and on. So the following article I found at the bottom of the latest article at KTEM James Japan website published a blog statements by Curtis D. Ball, the Board of Chairman of Liberty Lobby in 79. John Todd was a member of multi-general witchcraft family. So he's basically saying that all of the stuff that you heard that John Todd is claiming is absolutely true. And there's a transcribed talk from him, which is pretty interesting. Conspiracy, Basic Bible, Antichrist, Life in Japan. So yeah, he's got they removed the page because it wasn't factual, wasn't quite true. Yeah. He's a little bit of a kook. Well, was a little bit of a kook. But you're welcome to believe it was true if that is how you desire it to be. So James Japan, and he wrote quite a bit of articles expounding on all the truths that John Todd was telling. You also have to remember that he puts enough people, enough names, he'll give enough of the story to make it believable. You tell some truths, mix them in with some lies, reinvent, create a new story, but the whole time you're sleeping with your wife's sister and getting her knocked up, doing drugs, and still being in the Wiccan religion. And are we flawed? Well, Sean D., so glad that you hung out as long as you did. Oh, he was a politician? No, he was not a politician. But that's a good one. Mix in a little truth with a little bit of lie, and you can tell a pretty believable story. But his story was verified as being not true and false multiple times over. But it made for good tales. But as long as he believed it, it didn't matter. But yes, he was. That was part of why, and I couldn't remember why he had gone into a mental institution. But that's what he wanted to do, to basically get out of jail a little bit faster. A little bit of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where basically he joins into a mental institution to get out of being in jail, thinking that's an easy way out, and coming to find out that it's not as easy as you think. Yeah, but I don't know anything about mental health at all, so I'm not a certified doctor. I just can say that guy was a certified loon. Yes. But with all of that stuff going on, he survived for many years in prison. Survived for many years in prison, and later in a mental institution. I don't know his exact cause of death, but if he was born in what 40s, if he was born in the 40s, he would have been pretty old, pretty up there in age. Wouldn't have been a young pup anymore. But there you go. I guess that's really all I've got to cover tonight. My voice is starting to crap out on me. And I still want to do a stream tomorrow evening, and it's getting a little bit late. Thank you all very much for coming by, hanging out, and enjoying another John Todd experience. And there's more to go. It's only getting started. It's only getting started. I'm only a few into it. So with all of that being said, I'm hoping that everybody has a wonderful evening and comes back again very soon. And until then, everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you. And good night.
Exótica.